Welcome to the Roniel and DaRon podcast show. I am Roniel.
I am DaRon. If you would do everyone a kindness, I love the logo.
Yeah.
Would you take us through the mind of the man who helped, actually, the man who piloted and with the aid of, I believe, your sister and
Yes.
created.
She's brilliant. Very creative. But the whole idea, as you know, we were talking about this whole, the logo and this whole idea is you have, and if anybody watched Solar Opposites, you kind of see it has that Futurama or Solar Opposites type of thing to it, but it's a really good background to it, and I find it silly, but it's a really good background. Like, you're what, Native American and Mexican and all these different races inside, right? And I don't know how many things I am, but I know that one, I'm considered African American, right? I have some Native American in me. I have some, everything, some of everything. But the whole part of an alien, and those are aliens, whether people think it or not, is that we are always alienized by our color. If we're not Pacific race, we're not Caucasian or something like that, then we're not dominant. And we are alienated from the rest of the world, and especially in our field. Okay, it doesn't matter what field it is, and whether it's security, it could be counseling, it could be social working, whatever that is. You're alienated by your color and your race. So that whole idea was to show that that we're alienated by our race and our color and our culture. And then you have one who's you have an alien who has dreads with an African in place.
That's
I don't
clearly
know
me.
as much. Huh?
That's clearly me.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was me. You modeled that off of me. I mean.
Oh yeah, you have the dreads and everything. Right?
I got the whole look.
You have the African garment and everything.
That's right.
And they stereotype that, right?
Right.
So clearly, I've never ever stepped foot in Africa, but I am an African.
Right.
And I don't say that I don't have heritage from Africa, but I am. If I went to Africa or claimed that I was an African, a true African, they would look at me totally the other way.
Oh yeah.
I am not by any means a true African. But I am an African American because of my descendants. But again, that's what I'm stereotyping. I'm an alien who's alienized. I don't belong here, and I'm also an African. All right, that also does not belong here, and it's not a superior race. All right. So every time somebody looks at me, they look at me as usual. He's an African. He's a thug. He's a ghetto. Like, it does not matter. Like, it does not matter what I look like. I am just stereotyped from the beginning. All right. And if you go to yourself, you're Mexican, Native American. Now, I could have actually added some Native American stuff, but I thought that might even bring some really, really big confusion and issues between the two. But you basically, when people look at you, and we talked about this, there could be many different ways they look at you, and a lot of it was like if you were Arabic, like if you were from Iran. But really, if they really know, you could stereotype, oh, he's a Mexican, or he's from Iran, he's from whatever, he's crazy, whatever. They stereotype you straight up the back.
Yeah.
And you had that issue even with the different companies that we were at, that by your color, by who you are, your race, your culture, you don't know anything. Who are you? Like, you shouldn't even be here. Bye. Excuse me. And they're ignorant to that. They're ignorant to the fact, treat you like, the same thing. You're an alien. All right. And this whole idea represents two people from different cultures and are truly diverse, that love what they do.
Yes.
And can actually speak from experience, okay? And the fact that there's not a lot of diversity in there because we're alienated, that brings the lack of different cultures, different mindsets, and everything to any different industry. So that's what this kind of logo defines, is that it doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter who you are, what color you are, whether yellow, black, brown, purple. I don't care what it is, rainbow, whatever. It does not matter who you are. We all belong. We all have something to give to this world, this industry, and that's what our logo kind of defines. And this whole podcast also talks about different experiences, so people can understand where we're coming from in different ways. Because most podcasts do not discuss these things. It's always, one-sided.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about the real issues and the dark side that you see of, these industries and different things. And then on this podcast, we're not only talking about security. It could be martial art. It can be anything. There's diversity issues in each areas. And we'll be discussing that. But that's kind of what I wanted out of it. I didn't really want to, I didn't want us to kind of ruffle too many feathers. But as we talked before, if you're not ruffling some feathers, you're not doing something right. All right? You gotta ruffle some feathers, and that's the point of being in security. One, you're gonna ruffle feathers, and if you have a problem and you're scared to do that, then you probably don't really belong here.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
You gotta ruffle some feathers. So it may make some people butthurt about this whole idea, but it's the truth. And I wanted to bring that to life about our podcast. That we're two different races, two different cultures. And very diverse, and we bring a lot to our field. So
it's funny to me. I really, really enjoyed it. I really liked it, especially as you started to explain and talk about it. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, "Is he trying to get me lynched?"
Yeah, he was like, "Excuse me, this is not going to be good. We're going to get in trouble, right?" And I'm like, "But there's a meaning behind this."
There is, and it's actually really beautiful. I mean, now. The levels that it works on is stunning to me, because as you talked about, so we're both aliens. We're aliens in this land, which is interesting because, of course, many of your ancestors were brought here, right? And then on my side, many of my ancestors were already here. So to be an alien on this was our place first kind of deal is kind of weird and ironic. And I have that Mexican Native American and that United States Native American. That's not how that worked, but that's how the U.S. thinks of it. And so does my wife, so do our children. And it's funny because down south in the Southwest, they all look at me and they're like, "Oh, it's he's one of ours." But when I'm up here in anywhere other than the Southwest, a lot of people do look at me and they think, "Oh, well, not he's mestizo." They think, "Oh, he's Arab, he's Turkish, he's Persian, he's Saudi, he's something like that." So I become an alien in what is rightfully my own land, which is weird. Not that it's just so funny to me. It's funny. It's weird, and we get treated by ignorant people so differently, and it's very wrong. It's unfortunate because it shows how simple-minded some people are, and they want consistency of thought. And your experiences and my experiences in life are very different, and you have a different perspective as a result of those experiences, but they bring together a good flavor. And I think a lot of that is what's missing by having a unicultural security field. And that's what we have right now. Security is unicultural. And honestly, they're doggedly so. I mean, this one guy sat there and he one day told me, he called me a white hat, and I got mad. And I said, "I'm not a white hat. Don't ever call me a white hat." He said, "Well, that's what we're paying you to be." I said, "No one's paying me to be a white hat." But that goes to it's a unicultural movement. They demand everyone think a certain way, have a certain set of experiences, and that will only continue to harm us. And until we have that diversity of thought, diversity of experience and skill set and knowledge, I don't know what we have, but it's a travesty.
So with that being said, let me ask you this question, and I'm only saying this from my perspective because you know me. as I told you, there's been that eyeballed out, and it probably had you haven't got that as much. I know we had talked about this, but it's more that I got this eyeballed out that I am treated differently because of my thought process. And I don't know why. Like now, you know you have the color of the skin, but then if we get past the color of the skin, say you don't even know what I am, like what color I am. We're remote, we're virtually and remote, but because I have a different mindset, I'm not a white hat. I'm right along there with you. I'm not a white hat, so I don't think like they do. I think way outside of that realm. But because I'm like the oddball out, why I don't understand why I'm being treated like that. And I'm only trying to better not only my team but also the client. Like we said, you know me. I like to find things that nobody's looking for. I like to be very creative, and I have called you on a bunch of different incidents or things where I'm like, I don't know what the hell this is, but I found this, and you're like, yeah, what? You're funny, and I don't even know what I found, what I have, but there'd be some really interesting things, and nobody can explain it, but you will know. And I don't understand why I get treated that way because it's like you don't know my color,
Yeah.
you don't know who I am, you probably never took the time to know me, but because of my mindset, I am also separated from the group.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And it's a terrible thing, and unfortunately that perspective is killing our industry. It is hampering our capabilities, and it will continue to do so. And until people are more open-minded, we will continue to suffer. And I think that's in line with everything else that we've said today. So it is unfortunate, but I think all of this stuff goes hand in hand. Hey, it's been fantastic talking with you. I've had a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to next time.
Yeah, this was very fun. And until the next time, I am Roniel.
And I am DaRon.
And thank you guys for watching the Roniel and DaRon podcast show. See you until the next time.
Have fun.